We'll embark on an incredible journey, from the origin of the universe to the complexity of the human brain. Are you ready? Let's get started. Approximately 13.8 billion years ago, the universe began with a titanic explosion known as the Big Bang. From this explosion emerged space, time, and all the matter we know today. In the first moments, subatomic particles such as quarks, electrons, protons, and neutrons were formed. As the universe expanded and cooled, these particles combined to form the first hydrogen and helium atoms. Over time, gravity pulled these particles together, forming the first stars and galaxies. In the hearts of stars, nuclear fusion created heavier elements that were released into space when the most massive stars exploded as supernovas. About 4.6 billion years ago, a cloud of gas and dust in our galaxy collapsed, forming the Sun and the planets of the solar system, including our Earth. On this young planet, the elements combined in ways that eventually allowed life to emerge. In the primordial oceans of Earth, around 3.8 billion years ago, the first forms of life appeared, unicellular microbes. These prokaryotic cells were simple, with no defined nucleus. As time passed, some of these microorganisms developed greater internal complexity, forming the first eukaryotic cells. About 2 billion years ago, these cells had a nucleus and other organelles, allowing for greater organization and specialization. The organization of eukaryotic cells into multicellular structures allowed for the emergence of an incredible diversity of life forms. Over time, these multicellular organisms evolved in complexity, developing increasingly sophisticated nervous systems. One of the most extraordinary developments was the brain, a central structure in vertebrates that enables information processing, decision-making, and body control. The evolution of the brain, especially in mammals, eventually led to the human brain, one of the most complex structures known in the universe. Now, let's delve into the study of the human brain. This organ is composed of several lobes, each with specific functions. We will briefly explore each one before focusing on a particular region. The orbitofrontal cortex, OFC, crucial in decision-making. The occipital lobe is located at the back of the brain and is fundamental for vision. It processes visual information received from the eyes, interpreting aspects such as color, shape, and movement. The temporal lobe is situated on the sides of the brain and is essential for auditory processing and memory. It contains the hippocampus, crucial for the formation of new memories, and the amygdala, key in managing emotions and the fear response. The parietal lobe is located at the top of the brain and is responsible for sensory perception and the integration of sensory information. The somatosensory cortex in this lobe receives and processes body sensations such as touch, temperature, and pain. The insula, hidden within the brain between the temporal and parietal lobes, is responsible for various functions such as the perception of the internal state of the body, empathy, and emotional awareness. The frontal lobe is responsible for executive functions, including abstract thinking, planning, behavior control, and voluntary movement. It contains the premotor cortex, which coordinates complex movements, and the motor cortex, which controls voluntary movements of the body. Within the frontal lobe, we also find the prefrontal cortex, crucial for decision-making, judgment, and impulse control. The orbitofrontal cortex, OFC, a region of the prefrontal cortex, is fundamental for evaluating decisions and processing rewards and emotions. The cingulate cortex, situated on the edge of the limbic system, participates in emotional regulation and decision-making, especially in situations requiring cognitive flexibility and conflict management. The orbitofrontal cortex, also known as the OFC, is a region of the brain located in the frontal lobe, just above the eye sockets. This area is essential for complex decision-making, reward evaluation, probability integration, and emotion regulation. In the context of neuroeconomics, The OFC plays a crucial role in how individuals subjectively value different options and make economic decisions. The orbitofrontal cortex processes information about rewards and punishments associated with different actions. By evaluating the possible consequences of our decisions, the orbitofrontal cortex helps us weigh alternatives and choose the option that maximizes benefit and minimizes risk. This process is fundamental in economic situations, where we must decide between various investment options, purchases, or any other type of expenditure. Studies in neuroeconomics have shown that the orbitofrontal cortex integrates various sources of information, such as past experiences, current emotional state, and future expectations, to form a representation of subjective value. This means that the orbitofrontal cortex not only responds to tangible rewards, but also to expected rewards and potential losses. For example, when deciding whether to invest in a high-risk stock with a high potential return, or a safer option with a lower return, the OFC helps us evaluate these alternatives by considering not only the objective figures, but also our appetite for risk and our previous experiences with similar decisions. Furthermore, the orbitofrontal cortex interacts with other areas of the brain, such as the amygdala and hippocampus, to regulate our emotions during the decision-making process. This is especially important in situations of uncertainty, where our emotions can significantly influence our economic choices. Finally, understanding the role of the orbitofrontal cortex in economic decision-making provides us with a deeper insight into the fundamental pillar upon which economic science is built, transitivity. This epistemological principle is essential, as many of the generalizations and basic axioms of economics are derived from it, as evidenced in our previous video on Lionel Robbins' essay, an essay on the nature and significance of economic science. This understanding not only enriches our theoretical perspective, but also finds support in recent experimental findings by Pato Ashiapa, who has investigated how the orbitofrontal cortex encodes the subjective valuation of choice options. Through his studies, we can see how choice axioms, such as transitivity, manifest in neuronal behavior. If you're interested in exploring more about these topics, we invite you to watch our upcoming videos, where we will delve into Pato Ashiapa's experiments and explain the axioms of choice in detail. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications to stay updated with our content. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey, from the Big Bang to the complex functioning of the orbitofrontal cortex and its impact on our economic decisions. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos. In them, we will explore more studies in neuroeconomics and economic theory, unraveling the mysteries of how and why we make the decisions that shape our economic lives. Until next time.